Welcome back to the workshop. So in this video, I'm going to show you a progressive forging exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay off a cube of material over the far side edge of the anvil. And this is in a flat stock material. And then we're going to hammer that until it's about the width of the face of the hammer. And then we're going to come to the near side of the anvil and put a shoulder in there as well. Now the reason why this is a forging exercise is it's helping you to learn how to take and do progressive forging. Now there's a couple different types and styles of tongs that use kind of this look here, and there's several projects that you'll need this for here in the future. So just wanted to take and make you aware of that, especially if you're following along the channel. All right, now that we've got that far, let me go ahead and explain real quick what we just did there. So I started off with a piece of roughly 3/4 inch. Now this dimension doesn't matter, so let's just call this 1 inch for all intensive purposes. So 1 inch or 25 mil of material by 1/4 inch or 6 mil of material. That's what you should start with. 1/4 by 1's an easy stock size for most people to be able to get. So that's what I suggest for you to try there. Now, I said let's lay off a cube of material over the far side edge of the anvil. And what I'm talking about there is when you look at this, it looks like a square. Now, if you were to look at it in cross section, say if you were working with a square bar, which you can practice this with as well, it would end up being a cube. So when I reference a cube of material, that is what I'm talking about. So in just this little short snippet here of us working this, what we're working on is our hammer control, to be able to hit right up into shoulders of stuff and work out a more complex forging. So we'll go ahead and get this hot again, and we will continue on that little bit of a process there. So you might be asking yourself, okay, Roy, well, what's the point of all this? This doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? Like, why should I care about this? Well, it's important to challenge yourself again with your skills and abilities. And by and large, what a lot of people lack in the smithing community right now is a good foundation and a grasp in the fundamentals of blacksmithing. And the reason for that being isn't because that there's not enough education available, there's not enough teaching available, there's not enough people who know stuff about it, okay? But the reason for it being that way is because we don't take time to practice different fundamental exercises and then apply it to our work, apply it to a project that forces us out of our comfort zone. At least that is my opinion of the subject of how that has come to be. Again, so all we're trying to do is just square this up, keep this nice and square. We're not really trying to take and do anything with this piece, but I'm going to show you where it's going to get interesting. Now, just like in my previous form, just in like my previous video, I'll put a link to it here where I talked about challenge yourself to be creative, okay? That means don't just cut off a practice piece, maybe try to take it a little bit further and see what happens, right? You know, kind of just see what's going on there, and who knows, maybe you come up with something new for yourself that you haven't really fully explored, and then you refine that process and you come up with something unique to your work. So I talked about that video. Again, the link for it will be up there. It'll also be in the description down below. I'll link up the related videos, if you will. So I'm gonna work this out just a bit more here. Hopefully it's good and hot. It is. So we're going to work this out just a little bit more. We're going for about half the parent bar thickness and keep it the same thickness in the horizontal plane. That's what we were looking for there. So, and so far we've got that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it away from this near shoulder. Just put a little courtesy bin there. I'm going to heat this corner up, and I'm going to drive this back. And hopefully you guys will start seeing this come together here in a moment as I explain it. As you can see, I haven't done any jump scenes or anything like this. This is basically real time. And I just wanted to show you that you know, this is where it's possible. There's no mistakes happening here behind camera scenes. There's no cut-ins or cut-outs. This is just pure forging. I love doing this, and I hope you guys are enjoying this demonstration. But I hope once I get this done, you'll kind of be like, oh, I could use that form for something. Ah, I can think of about a half a dozen things I need to make that out of. So living in the modern time that we live in, we have a tendency to think in the way of, oh, well, if we need a certain shape, we're going to have to cut that out with maybe a plasma cutter, with a saw, a welder of some kind. We're going to have to weld something on. And a lot of times, really interesting, difficult shapes can be made all out of one piece, given the right amount of fundamentals being adhered to. I'm going to have a reach issue there here in just a second, but here I'm just straightening stuff out. I got a little bit more work to do here. Now you guys can see how I'm standing that up there, hopefully. Yeah. So now at this point you can start to think, wonder what I could use that for. What could I use that shape for? There's a whole lot of things that you can use shapes like this for. Most of them are mechanical in nature. So say if you were trying to make, for instance, you can use a very similar bossing technique to make the staple on a lock, the slide bolt of a lock. You can use a very similar technique. You're drawing away from a center boss and you're offsetting material. You're offsetting material for that. So this way you get a slot out of the deal so your bolt can slide into it. That is one attribute of doing something like this. Two, you can just impress your friends with it if you'd like. Oh. I'm probably going to be losing like 1,000 subscribers on this video, but hopefully not that many. Hopefully you'll stick with me, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video so far. But we're going to trip you up here in just a second. You'll be like, what? How'd that shape get out? How'd you get that out of that? So we'll hammer that to where you got a nice flat square corner. Looking good. I'm going to have to go over here to my tail of my anvil. Drive that back semi-square. Okay, there you go. So you guys can see that there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take about a half bend on this. We're going to bend this around. Now you can already see, say if this boss was in the opposite direction, that could make a handy pandy dandy pair of tongs. That might be one half of a pair of tongs. All you have to do is establish a third boss, and voila, you got some range drawing out there. Hopefully you could also see this could be used as a latch, a thumb, a sear mechanism, a lever. Be used for a lot of different purposes. So one of the other interesting things about doing this type deal, and again, I'm shooting this all in real time, so just bear with me. But one of the other interesting things about doing this here is that it challenges you in a way of, okay, let me control my heats. Let me control the heat that I'm working with here. Because you want a certain part of it to bend, but you don't want all of it to bend. Again, I could just stop the demonstration here because I basically got what I wanted to say off my mind, and I could leave you just kind of guessing and with a world of imagination. But we're going to go through this together so you guys can see kind of how this could shape up and how it could potentially benefit you. Okay. So now we're going to just bend that all the way around. And hopefully you're starting to see the applications for like a staple or a piece in a door lock. Now you tell me how you would get that shape if you were to be looking at this after it's all said and done. Most people would have the complete wrong ideal out of this. Again, I could come back here, I was just squaring that up, but I could come back here and I could draw out that toe and come back here, I could draw out this material now. There's a lot of different things that I can do, and that's an interesting shape. But we're going to take that one step further. So again, this is not actually going into a project of any kind. This is meant to be an example of a forging exercise. So I hope that you'll practice this and you'll try this yourself. Again, take some 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat bar stock, make it on the length of a handle, so you got a good length of handle to hold on to. Put a cube of material, or so say, I forgot to tell it in metric, sorry. Take 25 mil by 6 mil flat bar stock, stick a cube of material, or 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch material, or 25 mil by 25 mil by 25 mil material over the far edge of the anvil. You draw that down onto a shoulder about the width of your hammer face, or approximately 2 inches or 50 mil. Then flip it up with the shoulder standing up and work the opposite shoulder down. Shoulder that down at that point where it just starts to transition into the bar at the 2 inch mark or 50 mil mark. Draw that down and then do the steps that we did here. Bend away from that shoulder that you made on the near side of the anvil. Bend away and then bend this back. That's what will bring you up to where we're at right now. So let me go ahead and grab this out. All right, now I'm going to hold it against the anvil, and I'm going to bring this piece back too, and then I'm going to aim at the bump. And we're going to just drive that material back to itself. Okay, now hopefully you're seeing some of the value in this. Now we've got a really tall boss here. We have a really tall boss. And you might say, well, that's just a piece bent over. And certainly you could leave it like this. I'm going to put it in the forge, and I'm going to take a welding heat, and I'm going to weld this back into itself. So we'll take and do that now. Again, this is a complex form that if you were to take and show somebody this, if you were to be working with somebody, if you were to be showing somebody this process, it would be like, wow, that's kind of magical. You started at one end, an unassuming piece, but then you drew it out, you bent it, you did some offsetting, you did all this weird stuff, you punched it, you bent it, you twisted it, you did this, and all of a sudden, boom, you came out with a totally unexpected result. People think you're building an entire item, and really you're just building up one portion of an item that you're making. Us as blacksmiths, we should challenge ourselves to take and really push the limits of what the material will do for us. We do live in an age that is wonderful with technology. We've got all sorts of technology, and you know, you could very easily just weld a tab onto something, but you know, say you don't have the access to a welder. This is a workaround for that. So don't got the cleanest of fires here, so we'll see if we can get this up to welding heat and actually weld it in. With this material, I'm going to go to the far side of the anvil edge when I bring it out here for a weld. And we'll see how well this will actually take. My hopes aren't real high on this, but we'll see. Start doing a reducing fire. We'll see if we can't get this weld in here. Okay. Welded out at the end, it just didn't weld up near the boss, so I'll have to take one more whack on that. And because the fire's pretty dirty, I might have to throw an extra, might throw just a wee bit of flux on that. Add a little 20 mule team borax. Doesn't need a bunch, more or less sprinkling it. I have more on there than what I needed, but get that back in the fire. And we'll take a good heat on that. So anyways, while this heats up, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video so far. If you've watched this far in the process, thank you. You must be a die-hard fan of mine, die-hard subscriber, and I greatly appreciate you to stick around till the end of the video. If you did make it this far, comment down below. Said, hey, I made it to the 17-minute mark. So I'd love to hear from you and see those that are sticking around actually enjoying the content. One other thing I like to mention is if you'd like to support content like this, more content like this, a great way of you doing that is going and checking our website out at blacksmithpdfs.com and consider purchasing a set of plans, whether it be power hammer plans or one of the various ebooks that Jessica and I have wrote and co-wrote together around the subject of making, you know, your little blacksmithing enterprise there go off without a hitch, all the business. Yeah, I was able to get the weld mostly, but not all the way down. That's okay. You guys don't want to watch me for 45 minutes weld this up, but you get the idea. So again, check out our website if you get the chance, if you'd like to support more videos like this. I'm late for my lunch, so I'm going to go in for that. You can see this just falling apart. The weld didn't take, but that's one of the dangers you get from doing this here. With a little bit of time, a little extra care, I could probably get that to weld up, but I'm not going to worry about it. Not for this demonstration. But I hope you guys can see the value in what we did here. Hopefully this video was valuable to you and that you found it informative. If you did, remember to leave me a like and a comment down below. Tell me what you thought I could do better. Always open to good critique that way. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Again, I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking the time to watch out of your day. But I want you to take a look at that interesting shape there and see how you could apply that to your own work. Now, again, minus this forge weld here that didn't take, not enough time for me to do that on camera, but minus this one forge weld here that didn't take, if you were able to butt weld that together and be able to make this shape and draw this shape out to something else, it would be a very quite interesting form if you just use a little imagination. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one.